Hey, howdy everybody. Lightheart here, and I know I haven't posted anything on MLP this week yet, and I probably will in a day or two, but this is actually going to be a little side series I'm working on. Basically a bit of a project I've been wanting to do for a while now. I'm going to go through the steps to marriage. Now, why do I bring this up? Why is this here all of a sudden? Basically, nowadays in the United States, half of the couples that are married end up getting divorced. Basically, this ends up leading to a whole lot of things. Children ending up in foster care and them falling into the same pit holes which the parents end up laying out for them. The abuse, anger, depression, suicide. It's rather sad, and I think I go call it a pandemic or something like that. Just I believe a lot of this is because of what our society is trying to teach us about about marriage and stuff. That it's a light thing, something that should not be taken seriously, something that when you start thinking about, you gotta be thinking about what you need. Let me tell you something, they are wrong. Marriage is based on a friendship. Marriage is loving somebody. Love isn't selfish. Love is selfless. Love is kind. I believe society has lost track of that. And through that day, I believe society has also lost track of how to build their way to I do and the altar. So I'm going to be starting a series basically taking us through the steps to marriage. Today I'm basically going to be doing an introduction to this. So if you like this, if you want to see more of this, please like and subscribe down below. Uh, Give me some of your thoughts and your opinions. And take note that this is the merely an introduction, so we're not going to be seeing too much of some of the of the steps yet. Anything, I'm going to be giving a rough outline of what we're going to be doing. So let's get started. Now, here's one thing I do want to say, which I think a lot of TV shows and stuff they tend to miss out on. And I believe society is really messing us up by doing this. Basically, I believe a lot of people get into relationships when they're not ready to support. This leads to teens becoming pregnant. This leads to no, this can lead to just one person getting impatient, and a lot of times it leads to infatuation. Now, to give you a definition of what that means, infatuation is an intense but short lived passion or admiration for someone or something. Basically, I'm not here to teach you about lust. I'm teaching you no, it, how to reach the steps to loving somebody. There's a difference between love and lust. Infatuation is lust. I do not believe in love at first sight. That's infatuation. That's love based on social status, physical appearance, money, all that stuff. It is an ugly thing and should be it should be cautious when it comes to that. And let's face it, we're human beings and we're going to end up having infatuation. Boys will think girls are hot, girls will think boys are hot. That's going to happen. Basically, I'm wanting basically what I'm trying to do is to build, to show you how to go beyond infatuation and to no and how to love, basically getting to a point where you're loving somebody when the infatuation wears off. So basically, here's my principle, and this is something my parents hold to, that a lot of the people I know who've had strong relationships hold to. It's this: you are not ready to court until you're ready to be married. Yes, I just dropped a bombshell there. And basically, therefore, if you're not ready to be married and have a family, then you really should have no business courting. And I know that's a pretty big bombshell, and I'm hoping you didn't click off the thing by this point. Because let me say something. I'm, no, basically, a part of that's the reason why I don't date. It's because I'm not ready. I'm broke. I've got a lousy job in a lousy city. Basically, I only get 2 hours a week. No, my office is my parents' basement. I'm not making. No, YouTube doesn't isn't bringing me money. The job I have right now, it's no, they're abusing my position, and I can't support a family. That's why I don't date. That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not looking for. That's why also why I don't ship myself with people. The only person who I'll ever ship myself with will be the future Mrs. Hart. And that's not my real last name, but it's what I'm using. Now, I know some of you are thinking at this point, well, since he says I can't court or date yet, then I have nothing to worry about. Wrong. You must realize that the decision you are making today, the decisions, the choices you're making today as a teenager or a young adult, will directly affect your future relationship with your spouse. I've heard, no, I've heard and I've seen relationships that have been messed up because of bad choices one person has made in the relationship. I have listened to my parents, I've listened to other people who I know and trust, and I know that there are choices that I have made which I'm going to have to answer for. This is this is more than a warning to stay pure, to try and keep your heart, and I'm going to be getting into that in better detail in a moment. Who you are becoming today is who you will be when you're standing at the altar on your wedding day. This is more than just a warning to marry the right person. This is you being and becoming the right person. This is trying to tell you how to become the right person for for that person to for your spouse to marry. Now, finally, just because you do things right leading up to your marriage doesn't always guarantee that you will have a successful marriage. Basically, doing things right in courtship will allow you to have a good foundation on which you can build a good marriage. There are many successful marriages today that may have not that may not have always done things right when they were courting and dating. I believe my parents are one of those couples. Basically, a majority of these couples had to go back and tear up some of the old foundation and then start to lay a stronger foundation on which to start their marriage. And I believe that, I believe that Mrs. Wolf is a good example of this because she ended up getting divorced before. She ended up stating in a video that she and her husband had disagreements about religion, about who's in charge in the relationship. Basically they had several arguments and stuff, and it eventually led to a separation. I'm I do encourage you not to get to that point, but she ended up learning from those mistakes with Dr. Wolf. They both ended up building a stronger foundation. And admittedly, I'd love to hear more from Dr. Wolf about how he and his wife they worked courtship and stuff, and how his wife did changes from when she married her first husband to when she married Dr. Wolf. I'd love to learn more about that. Admittedly, I'll have to settle for, right now, I have to settle for the advice and good counsel from the authorities in my life. Basically, I am hoping I am hoping to save you from the hardship of having to go back and try to deal with this stuff. From realizing this was infatuation and trying to build that friendship and stuff. I'm trying to help you found this right. Now, I do want to give a few disclaimers. The majorities of these thoughts are my personal opinions and the personal opinions of several married couples whom I have talked to when doing this. If your parents, or if your authority, or if some of your authorities, admittedly, I know that I'm religious. If some of you have a religious authority, I know who has a different opinion, then I recommend you try and listen to them. Now, you will have to adjust some of these principles to your situation. Every relationship is slightly different from another. Not, every person is different, so there's bound to be variety. Also, everybody has a slightly different definition of courtship. Let's face it. Some people just do it for fun. Some people, you know, do it because their parents think it would be fun. No, I would like to hear your thoughts on what your definition is, but here is my definition and the definition of the, some strong relationships that I have seen. The definition for courting, which I'm going to be encouraging here, is this: dating with a purpose. What's the purpose? That is to see if it is right for you to marry this person, if this person is the one, or if you're religious, if it's God's will. Now, some of you will hear me say if you are religious several times, and I believe that this works for every denomination. But basically, this is trying to find the right person, the one. Because if you into this, go through this with that thought in mind, here are some certain principles which you'll try to be holding. I'm going to be giving you these principles now. 1. You are very intentional in your decision to court. Basically, this isn't something you are taking lightly. You are looking for the one, not the 20, not the 50, just the right one. The one who you'll spend eternity with. And most likely, if you really love this person, divorce will not be an option, but I'll probably go into that some other time. 2. You welcome and seek your parents and authorities' counsel and help. Now, admittedly, not all good relation. No, I understand that not all people have good parents, but maybe you can learn from their mistakes. Basically, trying to find the potholes, the mistakes, the pitfalls, the traps are waiting for you before you get to them. I believe that is very important. Number 3, you are guarding your heart. I believe this is very important. Basically, your purity is something precious, and you can only give it away once before it's no longer pure. That's why I believe that that first kiss should be for the wedding day. I know some of you are going to be arguing and yelling at me, just that's going to be torture. But I've heard two stories from two couples. One was from a couple who's been married a few times, and basically with the most recent marriage, when they kissed at the altar, there was nothing. No emotions, no real care, just emptiness. It became a pattern. And then there was the couple who saved their purity, who kept their hearts. They, when they had their first kiss at the altar, the people in the audience could feel the emotion. The people there could feel it. It's something so precious. Your heart shouldn't be given away. I believe a good illustration is think about a cup of water. Nice, clear, crystal clean cup of water. Now imagine if I spat in that water. Now imagine if everybody who's viewed the video so far has also spit into the cup of water. I know it sounds nasty, but here's the worst part. Would you drink it? I think you all are grossed out right now and are thinking, why in the world did you put that picture into my head? Because I believe that that's how you should treat your purity. Basically, you can't take it. No. Basically, you shouldn't be wanting something that's already been tainted by so many other people, nor should you expect other people to want that. You should be keeping it pure for that special somebody, for that one. Number four is be careful in guarding the other person's heart. Let me tell you something, it is easy to manipulate people, and I believe both genders know that, or whatever, or all genders know that. Women, they understand that men like seeing stuff, so they wear slightly revealing clothing. You know, something flashy to catch the men's eyes. Because men, a lot of us end up, you know, that's how we get attracted. Or men, we know that women like hearing stuff. Those soft little words, though, that everybody wants to hear. And I believe one of those, which I'm going to be touching on greater detail later on in the lesson, is I love you. We know that women love hearing stuff like that, and we can use that to manipulate them. You should be willing to guard their heart as well as yours. Basically, I'm not, no, basically, I'm not saying that you should be talking to them just, hey, you should avoid this person, you should avoid that person. No, you shouldn't be doing it yourself. Basically, you should be willing to respect and to honor their purity as well, as well as your own. And number five, you should respect this time with a level of seriousness. Basically, once again, this isn't something to be taken lightly. Is it? No. And admittedly, this is a fun time. When you're going through parts of this, but you should be doing it with with a serious thought process of, is this who I'm willing to spend the rest of my life with? That's the goal I'm going for in doing this series. Basically, to find the right person and be willing to spend the rest of their lives with them. I'm looking to take that 50% of divorce and knock it down a peg or two. To take society standards and change them. The last thing is, I do realize that some of these, the majority of these, I think actually will not apply directly to some of the younger people who might be watching this. I don't exactly know my entire age audience, so no, I'm going to be honest. But I do hope that you will hold on to these lessons and that when the time comes, you will pull them out and allow them to be able to help you. Now, I know that this time in your life will come with challenges. The decisions of finding a spouse can be frightening, exciting, paralyzing, exhilarating, or even downright discouraging. It's the last one for me, to be perfectly honest. But I'm hoping and encouraging that you can know that this can happen for you. I know that I believe in the right person. And I believe that I need know that I myself should build myself to be the right person. Now, here's a brief outline. I already know that I'm going into the 20-minute mark. So, I really quickly want to give an outline of what the steps to marriage are. Now, every healthy relationship will progress through these stages. Immature relationships will attempt to skip certain steps of this, and it tends to lead to infatuation, which attempts to build a relationship without a proper foundation and always turns into a self serving love. Once again, that is not love. Love is selfless. Love doesn't care about itself, it cares about others. I believe that a good proverb, no wise saying that I've heard, greatly describes this. Greater love hath no man than this, than a man lay down his life for a friend. Basically, love is sacrifice, giving of yourself for somebody else. Now, a very important key to dating and courtship is pace. These steps are to help you keep a good pace in your relationship. Now, how much time you will spend in each step will differ from person to person and relationship to relationship. At any point along the way, you may end up needing to drop back down to a different step, like from courting to friendship, or just say that you need to end relationship. And I believe that's why every good relationship should be built on a friendship. Because that way, if you say, hey, this isn't working, we're not going to end up getting married, however, we can still be friends. Basically, being able to friend zone somebody and not have a chatter. Basically, no, basically not doing it to where at the end somebody or both of you are broken. Now, if you do end up having to say, this isn't the one for me, I'm not going to marry this person, don't view this as a failure. This is actually a sign of a successful courtship in one sense. Basically, courtship is about making the right decision in your lifelong spouse. Now, here is the basic outline for the steps to marriage. Now, some of you may be already to a part of these steps. Because step number one is acquaintance, knowing the basics, basically. Basically, at this point, you don't know each other very well. Anything his name, her name, basically, you, you know who this guy is, you know a few small details, but not much. Anything think coworkers. No, I could call several of my coworkers acquaintances. Basically because I know little about them. Step number two is friendship. This is getting to know more. This is becoming friends. I believe a good example of this is Dr. Wolf and Lightning Bliss. Basically, when they first met, Dr. Wolf was just a guy giving advice, but but then you look later on, they've helped each other so much. Dr. Wolf helping her, give her advice and stuff. You know, no, it's they've been described as brother and sister even because their friendship is so strong. I believe that they're a good example for this. Now, number three, expressing interest. This is the part when you have to say, hey, I'm actually interested in this person. I believe that there's chemistry beyond infatuation. Infatuation. Sorry, infatuation. Sorry, I am stuttering a bit. You know, I I want to see if this will go. No, this will go anywhere. This involves the ever frightening talk to the father, and in my opinion, you should talk to the father first, but we'll talk about that later. But that ends up leading to step four, which is starting a courtship, which is basically starting to define your relationship. No, you're getting to know each other more. Basically, you're laying down the guidelines and stuff. Basically, say, no, basically, kind of making the rules a bit for how you're doing this that you both can agree to. Then you get to number five is courting, which is once again purposeful dating. That's the basic definition of this. And I can't wait to get to that because there's so many pieces of advice that I want to give, so much wisdom that I want to share from other people. Then number six is getting serious, which is getting your ducks in a row, otherwise prioritizing. Basically, this is when you start looking in the long run. Just no, I really want to get into detail on this later. Basically, this is when you start to go beyond just courting to see if it'll work court to courting. There's something real here. Number seven is falling in love, the patiently growing romance. Basically, by this time, the any infatuation has worn off, and real love begins to bloom. Basically, it's no longer no. There's no more. It's not based on the visual thing at this point. It's based on the heart. Number eight, popping the question, which is getting ready for forever. And number nine is the engagement, which is the intense preparation for marriage. And then number 10, the wedding day, your special someday. Now, some of you thinking, hey, this is gonna take forever. I'm not gonna be spending all that time. But listen, marriage, courtship isn't a race. No, marriage isn't a race. And it's not a 5 star, or another way to describe it is many couples view marriage as a 5 star resort, which they don't have to prepare for, they don't have to plan on, which they don't have to pay for anything with. And that ends up hurting a lot of relationships. Any person who's been on a trip will know that that never happens when you go on vacation. As fun as vacations are, there's always planning, pricing, all this hard and tedious stuff. This is a marathon. This is a road trip. This is a slow rate. This is a race which you need to pace yourself on, which you need to build to slowly but surely to grow and get stronger over time. I am hoping that next week I'll start getting into some of the stuff like acquaintance and friendship. I'm hoping to get into some of the steps there. And I really hope you are all interested in this because this is something I'm very passionate about. That I don't want to see people having to end their relationships on a hard note. I want to help you build something that will last forever. I am Lightheart, and I'll see you all next time.